Today on Backyard Battles, we're going to talk Super 7 Ultimates TMNT. We're going to look at each of the waves here and some of the characters we were really hoping for. I'm Dom, and I'm co-hosted with
Joe. I am
that
here.
only took me 18 takes to get right.
It was not 18. It was roughly 15.
I'm going to be honest, I'm a couple lemonades in. All right.
15 plus or minus 3.
Joe, what do you got first for us?
This is my current Super 7 collection. Everyone is crammed in there. However,
it invokes jealousy every time.
We're going to cover the first few waves relatively quickly, but the later waves we're going to discuss what's coming, what we have pre-ordered, and by we I mean probably just me.
No. I'm in. I cracked the seal. I've got a couple pre-orders in there,
so I'm 7 waves. All right, so wave 1 was the initial wave. It's Raph, Baxter, Foot Soldier, Splinter. But the likenesses to the Playmates toys I was all in. Wave 1, even though they only offered one turtle, obviously the next waves would have the rest of the turtles. And initially, weirdly enough, because Baxter's like one of my favorite characters, but I didn't initially buy him. Like I just got Raph and Splinter. I was like, I don't know if I'm fully in on this line yet. Like I want to see what they have going on. I did grab Baxter like right away when the pre-orders did hit. Like I got him like very early. But I held off on the Foot Soldier for a long time, and then he was like sold out forever. But they did reissue him, so that worked out. Wave 2, when the wave came out, I was like, well, Shredder, obviously, Bebop, obviously, Leonardo, obviously. If I'm gonna have to leave one behind and not spend $200+ or whatever whatever it is on 4 figures, Mutagen Man's the one.
I'm a huge fan of Mutagen Man. This is the 2012 version, and this is the Playmates version here too. I actually prefer the Playmates version because of that disgusting rotting flesh with the hollow tank and the floating guts and organs.
I loved all the trash that looked just like a fish and like our bones and stuff were floating around in there. That's one thing I think the Super 7 toy, they blame it on articulation, which I get, but it's not watertight, so you can't actually float all the bits and pieces in there. It opens up and you can dump them inside. It comes with all the bits and pieces. It just can't actually contain the water. I don't even care if it's the glow-in-the-dark one, honestly. Both of them are kind of cool in their own ways. I'd prefer the original version.
Unlike you,
he's great.
Who dove into the core essentials, you had to have the main lines. I'm actually the opposite. I'm more of like, I want the weird guys. I want the later ones. I want the extremes. Like, it's kind of funny. Yeah.
So wave 3 was Mikey in April. So that's one of the horrible April heads, by the way. And Rocksteady. So so again, I got like Michelangelo and Rocksteady like right off the bat. But it was later on that I was like, okay, I do want April. Even though I didn't really like have a huge connection to that toy when I was a child. I loved the character, but I was like, why would I not get April?
So the completionist in you made you be like, it's the 4 turtles plus April. I had to have her. But like,
yeah.
Go back to that head sculpt real quick, man. So Marvel Legends figures will understand this. That's a real Sue Storm head there. Like, they really butchered the Invisible Woman head, and it looks like they did the same treatment in April. Like, I had a huge crush on a kid in April. I would do a hard pass as a 7-year-old on that one right there.
So their goal, obviously, is to recreate the Playmates toys. And we all understand that, and that's great and everything. But, like, I want you to recreate the Playmates toys, but not in the parts that were horrible. You know what I mean? Like, make them better. Like, that's the obvious move, kind of.
This is some of the things G.I. Joe Classified is going through too, right? Like, you've got to appeal to the nostalgia factor and be like, I want my 80s or 90s toys exactly, right? But, and if you deviate from that, God forbid, how dare you put your own spin on this creation? But there's also the point, like you brought up with the shredder eyes,
with the shredder head.
with the purposeful mispainting. Just that nostalgia piece too. Like, that is a great fan service. But like, yes, just recreating a bad head sculpt just because someone's going to insist, like, that's not what it was when I was a kid. It's like, yeah, but that was crap.
Mine wasn't like that. I think I saw like, because you inevitably like put all your Turtles Playmates toys into a bin and you bring them over to your friend's house and you're all playing with your toys, and like you'd look at their shredders and go, what's wrong with your shredder? Like, why are his eyebrows on the helmet?
It's the Malibu Stacy. Like, when you pull the string and it's like, I'm here to save the day. Your friendly neighborhood web crawler. It's like,
Like, thank you, I will not be.
Yeah, no, yeah. Much like your Mum-Ra, you only want the screaming head, but in this case, it's just a terrible head sculpt. So yeah. Next, move on. Next,
this one, same thing, sort of.
Yes, no.
So I don't own Muckman yet. I don't know why. So again, like this is one of those waves where I'm like, obvious, need Donatello, can't pass on Casey. I don't want to buy a full wave. I don't know. So I'm like, I'll get them other. So Muckman is definitely one that I will be coming back to for sure. I don't think I'll get on. I don't think I'll get on the Mondo Gecko train. I might, maybe.
What an awesome resculpt of this figure though. Like,
oh, so they did a great job.
But he was so vibrant, and he's a gecko, which is kind of an interesting, like, I guess, non-lethal species to choose, right? But like, look at that jaw articulation, like the animation,
like tail, the ridiculous, everything, just sculpted to death. I would have to get pretty far along in the waves before I'm like, maybe I do want Mondo Gecko one. But Muckman is definitely high on my list of he's out and I don't own him and I need to get him. What we want to talk about, I guess, is these future waves here. And you had mentioned Leatherhead. And I kind of love that Leatherhead. He's ridiculous and cartoony. Like, he's enormous. If this picture doesn't do it quite justice, you turn him sideways, he's as big as Rocksteady Bebop.
I know Playmates was, limited in what they were doing, so I get it. But like the original Leatherhead just felt like a lizard, not an alligator, right? Like a big old beastie. In the show, he was imposing.
Yeah.
If not silly. And then later in the 2012 series, which I'm a big fan of, he was imposing. In the IDW comic, he's imposing. So to see him actually brought to scale is really cool. That said, he's too much of a clown. Like, I can't get over the eyebrows.
I haven't pulled the trigger on that one yet.
No, there's just too much going on there, man. Look at those clodhopper clown shoes. Now, he looks like an animatronic at like Six Flags or Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, look at those eyebrows. Like, I just imagine being like the eyebrows moving and be like, "Hey, kids, come on now."
That would be the most perfect description of him ever, I think. The only one I have pre-ordered from this entire wave is Krang. If he wasn't in his big body thing in the cartoon, he was rolling around on that little tripod thingy.
He was.
Yeah.
Just slugging himself around with those little tentacle arms.
I actually love the little bubble bodies coming in. Like, I can't wait for that. That is fantastic. And also they articulated his arms like the robot arms, I mean. So you get two Krangs. Like, so you get one that's like this face with like specific tentacle arms. And then they have like another crazy, like screaming, laughing face or something like that with different arms kind of thing, tentacle arms going off it. And you can pop the tentacle arms off and switch it from body to body if you wanted to, like, change it around or whatever. So
I only want the face where it can go Shredder. All I've got is the actual like Playmates Krang. The little walker suit didn't survive. It was too fragile. Like the bubble glass broke off, and then one like snapped. I was like, I bag on NECA a lot. Because I've just had a lot of scar tissue with them. The suit, oof. I almost bought that even before we started talking about Turtles and I started seeing your Super 7. I almost bought that suit.
So here's the thing I'm worried about, though. The original Krang suit from Playmates was enormous. It was like 12 inches tall.
Yeah,
close to, or maybe 10, but it was close.
Yeah.
So it was huge. And it was made to fit that Krang into his abdomen. And based on the Super 7 mold of Krang and how big he is, kind of worried it's going to be gigantic. I just want the scale to be closer to like Bebop and Rocksteady, like a smaller scale. Is what I'm saying.
You don't want a kaiju size. You want towering ogre size. I'm hoping
that their robot body for Krang is like a little closer to like what it was in the cartoons.
Yeah.
And NECA did a good job with that. Like their Krang body is only like a little bit taller than Shredder. Talking about the Turtles, though, I have the 4 brothers and I'm done. But this Leo, Samurai Leo, I might get him.
So we had a lot of the wacky lines when we were kids. We had the military wave with like the sailor, the parachute one, the army guy. We had the rock star one, which actually I still have a strong affinity to. I don't know why. I think it was just the bold hairband colors or like the Bebop Donatello. So we had those as kids.
Yeah.
The Samurai Leo, though. stood out. One, because it's on brand, it's on theme.
Yeah, it's on brand. Yeah.
And that actually came out, I'm pretty sure, before the third movie, where they actually went back to feudal Japan, right?
It did, yeah.
So, he is really cool, because you look at those movie turtle versions of the third movie, they're not as cool as Samurai Leo.
His alternate head has like, they did the samurai mask coming down, and I'm like, oh, come on.
The Oni, the demon mask.
I'm kind of out on Ray Fillet. I know like he's a beloved character for a lot of people. For me, I'm like, I could give or take him.
I felt like that as a kid too. I was like,
So again, that's going back to why I'm buying these toys. It's all about what I had as a child and what I don't have anymore. Said Ray Fillet, I'm kind of out on Ray Fillet.
Yeah.
Leatherhead, 50-50. Leo probably gonna get him. Just a matter of time. Let's put it that way.
All right. I'm earmarking this right now, May 13th, because it's past midnight.
Just a matter of time. Just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Wave 6 introduced the idea of 5 characters per wave, but the 5th character in this wave is just a 5-pack of Mousers. I have yet to pull the trigger on those. Do I want 6 Mousers? Like, because you get one with Baxter, so like I've got one already. But what's a Mouser without a bunch of other Mousers around?
Yeah, that's purpose to me, to be army builder, especially with the scale that they're at.
Also, there was a weird production snafu with Raph's size in the wave 1. And they give you an extra pair of size in this pack for no reason. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
On the turtles in their crazy, wacky outfits, Michelangelo, sewer surfing Mike is not on my list of things that I need. You know?
No, the surfboard says Cowabunga.
No.
Come on.
No,
hard pass.
Slash, however, pre-ordered.
All right, so Slash is one of my favorite villains. I loved him as a kid. He was all crazy, right? He was just like, and like he lost his stuff over the palm tree, his binky or whatever it was. He just went like this rage mode, right? And he could just take on the 4 turtles. I also weirdly liked his dark color scales with his bright pink accessories. I thought that was really cool.
Wave 6. Like I'm not all in on Ace Duck. I don't care about Ace Duck. Although I never owned Ace Duck. However, toys that were around while we're playing with those toys when I was a kid, he was there. I might get him. So the 5th character, though, Scratch. Yeah.
You know who they should have done instead of Scratch? Old Hob from the IDW comic books. A pseudo-villain, roguish character who's in the Mutanimals, which was a callback to the old TMNT Adventures comic books. They had Mutanimals in there. It was like they played a bunch of other side-off characters. But Old Hob leaves like this gang of Mutanimals. Man, I don't know who Scratch is, and I'm a pretty good Turtles fan. Good grief.
He's the white whale. He was like one of the last waves. And they made like so few of him that he's super rare. So he's like the one that everyone's like, oh, I want Scratch.
This is just appealing to the completionists then.
Their thought process is like, hey, this is for all those people that never got Scratch or always wanted Scratch and never came, because he costs like, shockingly, several hundred, $600, $700. Like if you want to get a Playmates one, it's insane. So
all I heard was too much money for a burglar cat. Yeah.
Donatello, punk rock Donatello.
I was just talking about this guy.
Yeah, I don't like. Again, everyone is so funny when they started doing like Leo and samurai armor and Michelangelo. You're like, oh, it's obviously going to be Donatello in disguise. You know, that classic trench coat thing. That was one of the, and like they went this way, and I'm like, interesting. That being said, this wave is pretty cool.
I'm not bagging it, but this lineup alone is kind of like a bad acid trip. Monkey, a dinosaur, a robot.
There's 2 robots,
and then like it's rough. Let me just drool for a minute about that Triceraton. Good.
Oh, he's so good.
But the original comic book, continuous warrior state of like must destroy, and the turtles like whispering in his ear like, yeah, now kill those guys, and like just seeing him barrel through stuff, hiding behind him like a tank basically. I love that toy from the first time I saw it in the store, and then it's only since continued to build that allure to it through the canon. Absolutely. That Joe, that guy, Joey, listen to me.
Yes.
Broke my skill for Super 7. Super 7, you got me. With that guy right there.
Man, look at that Triceraton. How can you not love Triceraton? So I'm a hard out. I'm a hard out on Michelangelo Metalhead.
You're not getting the gorilla with the banana bazooka?
I might get him. No, I'm a hard out on Michelangelo Metalhead. I mean, like, I have Metalhead already. I don't know about Gorilla. I might end up getting him.
Are you kidding me? You had to like Google search what this guy's name was, and you kept
pulling up, like, random. I couldn't remember Sergeant Bananas.
Joe, this is what? I'm so shocked right now about what you're saying to me. Wait, you want Gorilla because of what reasons? Defend yourself right now. What are you doing?
What's not to be in on? Look at him. He's enormous.
You're gonna pass up Ray Fillet for this guy.
No, what I'm not passing on is probably Robot Bebop.
Your Honor, I am not done with this witness. What are you talking about here? He shoots bananas with a bazooka. This is so far. This is I don't know what to say.
Giving the banana bazooka, what you have is a gigantic mutant ape, which I do like. That being said, Robot Bebop. I don't care. That's a really cool, awesome big ass robot for turtles to fight.
I mean, sure.
This is what we're kind of seeing with this line of like where it's going, and where you're saying like, oh, I would love to see some IDW. I would too. The sillier this line gets, the less I care. I guess that's the point. I'm not like a Playmates purist, and I want all Playmates, and that's all I want. I just want that Playmates awesomeness, or that the things that we loved as toys, those characters, done well. I want great representations of the characters that I know and love. The crazier they get, the less interested I am in them. Hopefully, Crag.
So hold on, wait.
And Granitor.
Shut your face. We're getting into wish list next, Joe. All right, well, that's wave number 7. Joe, what do you think is going to be in wave? Actually, we're all tired of hearing you talk.
Yeah, agreed.
What do you guys think is going to be in wave number 8? Leave a comment below. I'd love to be able to hear what your predictions are. All right, Joe. Those are the existing and soon to be Super 7 waves that we know. Yeah. What about the things that we want, though?
Yes. Okay.
Here are some of the things I want. Usagi, right up front. Just this is my number one figure, my number one favorite Turtles affiliate, and that's, I think the problem is he's not actually a Ninja Turtle property. He's Stan Sakai, who did a crossover.
So again, I know Super 7's having trouble with that. I really want to pre-order the NECA one, but
so I'm good with buying any version of him. I'll buy a NECA one, and I'll also buy a Super 7 one. That's how much I love this character.
The Playmates version of Usagi he had all kinds of like weird stuff going on. So maybe
not quite this. It did like a blend between the bamboo flat armor and then sort of the samurai armor, right? I was never happy with it because it was weird pose where he was like
the weird squat pose
all the time.
The question is, can and will they be allowed to make it?
I want the Stan Sakai classic one. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want that Stan Sakai, you want that Usagi, like that's NECA probably. I think I'm going to grab that NECA one, man. You know, kind of just to have it. This is my Ultimates version of Usagi Jumbo, assuming I never get a Super 7 one.
It's also going to be super fragile and break in your hands. So I don't know about the Ultimate version. Because it's NECA. I bag on them a lot. But it's also true. Who else you hoping for there, Joe?
I have a weird affinity for the Rat King. I love him. I really want that character. I had him as a child. I really want that toy, but he's high up there for me for some reason.
Rat King was a cool figure. He was one of the ones that also had just tons of sculpted detail in there. What I always thought was interesting was the fact that they actually put, not sculpted on him, additional rats onto his body. One on his shoulders. Yeah, that was cool.
I want his accessory pack to be filled with rats. I just want a bunch of rats. Give me as many as possible.
So I think also both on our list here is Fugitoid. So this is the 2012 version. For sure. There's been several versions of Fugitoid. I think the 2012 one actually is the best representation, harkening back to the comic version. I like Fugitoid. It dragged the turtles out of the space. It also kind of linked to the Triceratodon comic storyline. This guy, ultra shiny here, and I'm going to be honest, I want my Fugitoid to be he's going to go. Yeah, face planted. Just like a Family Guy sketch. I want my Fugitoid to be vac metaled or something shiny like that.
But they didn't vac metal Metalhead, so I don't think they'll vac metal a Fugitoid. He's high up in the list. He's awesome. Why wouldn't you love Fugitoid?
So this is what you were referring to earlier with one of the rock guys, right? The generals.
Yeah.
It's what's funny is this is one of those characters that was not what he actually looked like in the cartoon. I think NECA went to the animated version, which I actually prefer to this guy.
Agreed.
Even though he's got tons and tons of details, I don't know why he's got like a crab on his shoulder.
Why does he have a snake on his leg? Why does he have a spider on his shoulder?
Really weird. He's got a spider web on his shoulder too. Like,
sorry, spider on his forearm.
Yeah. Like, well, he's been to prison, man. And a snake crawling around there. It doesn't make any sense. It's kind of one of those
his toe sticking out of his boots. None of this makes any sense.
Yeah, I just don't love the animated cell shading, but it's a really cool technique. Don't let that take away from the artistic value of that. It's just not my cup of tea. No one's asking for this. A cartoon line, Tiger Claw. Man, he's so sweet. I love his jet backpack. Love his 2 laser pistols in there too. Love his little stubby tail cut off.
So I have to ask, like, what's the difference between this and Hobbs, like you were saying?
Oh, because it's a cat with an eye patch, that means it's the same to you. Anyway, so what's the difference here, Joe? Is this guy comes to Japan? He's a tiger. He's a mercenary. He's awesome.
Tiger, Hobbs
is this New York straggly, roguish, we don't take care of ourselves, nobody will kind of guy, right? So attitude alone makes them stand out. I'm ashamed of you. These were the 2 henchmen that were kind of replaced Bebop and Rocksteady. Yes, they did make a Bebop and Rocksteady later on. First part of the whole show, you had Dog Pound and Fishface, who actually was really cool because he was kind of like this guy with a switchblade, Antonio Banderas accent, and then he got turned into a fish. And they gave him robot legs because he's useless on the ground without his robot legs. So you can see how he's actually a fish. And they had to give him robot legs, and he's got these artificial breathers so he can walk around land. I brought this guy out just because I want to do Raka Raka. So again, he's from the 2012 cartoon. These are homage to Aliens, right? From like
Aliens, yeah.
So the NECA version are the yellow ones that have sort of the banana head that were in the arcade. So these ones were squirrels that were mutated.
I do want the pizza alien. Did Playmates ever even make that?
No, they didn't, but it came from the cartoon, the arcade. Again, I saw in the store and I was like, this is sweet. I don't know.
NECA was so hard to come by back in the day that I was like, I don't want to start collecting a line that I can't collect without like hounding Target every day. I don't have time to go to Target every day of my life or whatever. I didn't have the confidence that I could collect the toys that I wanted to collect at the time.
Which is funny because now you can find them in Walmart and comic shops.
Sure, yes. Like, now it's easy. If I had known back in the day, like what I could do now, like I might have gone that way a long time ago. But
I love the old man wisdom there of like, if I'd known then what I know now.
If I'd known then.
So this figure on the left, though, is the 2012 version of Slash. And unlike the Berserker Rage one, which you've seen in the Super 7 one, he's actually a good guy. They kind of carried over in the IDW comic book, and I would love to see, it's my segue, it's my pitch into Super 7, IDW representation. I know they're diving to Playmates, and they've got kind of their shtick, and we're just complaining about G.I. Joe Classified being all over the place.
I don't know, man. So they're not limited to Playmates. They have the license. Brian Flynn, the guy in charge of NECA, and himself had like kind of like, oh, you have the license? I have the license too. Like, what are we doing? And he's like, and they both like weirdly serendipitously discovered that like, well, we were gonna make Playmates toys, and he was like, oh, that's great. I'm gonna do the cartoon and the video games, and they're like, that's amazing. Like, we're not gonna hurt each other while we're trying to make these toys. The Gorilla is from the comics. That's an interesting note though. Like, so they don't
the
have
possibility is there.
They don't have a limitation. The limitation isn't there. They can go in that direction. That would be really cool if they started going IDW.
If you haven't read the IDW comics from Ninja Turtles, you need to get out there. It honestly doesn't matter where you jump in. I can say that because I picked up in like issue 20. I went back and read some of the early issues. I jumped forward to 50, to 100, to 135, whatever they're at now. It doesn't matter where you pick that comic up. Jump in. It's so worth it. That right there, Joe. Super 7 getting to IDW, all in.
I would much rather them go or start to go at least in that direction than going into the deep dive later line characters from Playmates.
Like Pizza Face?
Yeah, but also, yes. The answer is yes.
Joe, we could keep wishing about figures all day long, or we could take a look at the figures we actually have. Click on this video. Have you clicked on it?
You should.
Click on this video.
These ones?
Those are the ones. Joe, I hope you're having a good time. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time.
100%.
All right, good. This is fun.